Insurance agents from around the world. Hey guys, this is Scott Howell with the Insurance Guys Podcast. Hey, let's talk about client experience for just a minute. Guys, we have got to start meeting our clients where they want to be met. Not where you want to be met. Guys, this isn't about you. This is about them. I know we would all love it to be about us, but it's about our clients. We got to start meeting them where they want to be met. I understand some of you want them to come into the office, drink coffee for 45 minutes, whatever. That's just not where we are today, guys. For those people that want that, that's fantastic. Every single year, more and more people want to jump on a mobile app. They want to download their ID cards. They want easy. They want speed. They don't want to come by and drink coffee with you. One of the easiest ways you can do this is through the agency-branded self-service platform, guys, and that is where Glovebox comes in. A carrier-connected, agency-branded tool for your clients. Call today, get a demo with Glovebox, and mention the Insurance Guys Podcast to get 20% off the life of your agency-branded CXP. Guys, let's go meet our clients where they want to be met. Easy, speed. Have a great day.
Hey guys, it's Bradley. Every now and then a company comes across my desk that not only blows my mind in what they're able to accomplish, but we implement that particular technology at Portal and it completely changes the way we do business. That's happened a few times with a few different companies, and it happened this year with Ascend. In case you don't know, Ascend saves agents time by simplifying the time-consuming process of collecting payments, premium finance, and paying the carriers without the back-and-forth paperwork, and it's integrated right into a slick checkout experience where customers can pay how they want, credit, debit, ACH. Own the customer experience, guys. It's branded to your agency, and they offer a modern checkout experience that your customers want. Ascend will also, and this is a big one for me, automatically pay the provider, the carrier, the MGA for the payables, so it essentially turns agency bill into direct bill. Go to useascend.com/insurance guys. The link should be below on this YouTube video. Check them out. Thanks.
Insurance agents from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys Podcast, powered by Glovebox. God, I love Glovebox. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance evangelist for I Protect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Mobile, Alabama. Parade first team All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
Great, Scott. How are you today?
Best I've ever been. Bradley, you're not going to believe what happened to me last week.
Okay.
Sitting at my desk, minding my own.
I don't know. You've had an adventurous year. I don't know if there's much I wouldn't believe.
Yeah. Pissed my pants last week. That's okay. Last week, I'm sitting at my desk, minding my own business, and I get a call from our Athens office. And I've got Jess Miller on the phone.
Who's in Athens?
Jess Miller and Harley Self, claims manager. And they called me and they said, Scott, we need to tell you something, and don't know what you want to do about this, but your 92-year-old great uncle, we just gotten off a call with him, and we called him 3 or 4 days ago, late pay. Remember shutting that back door, right? Trying to keep everybody in our agency and trying to shut that back door and lock it. Your 92-year-old great uncle has decided he does not need insurance. And he is going to let his homeowner's insurance cancel on his $500,000 house. And he is letting his auto insurance cancel, which he drives his car 2 to 3 weeks to the doctor and to the grocery store.
He's just going down, flipping a middle finger to everybody.
And we don't know what else to do. We've talked to him, and he's been very pleasant, very kind in telling us to go suck it, that he doesn't need insurance anymore because he's 92 years old. So I hang up with them.
That's all you need is him to drive his Lincoln Town car through downtown Huntsville, and
I guarantee you that's what he drives. I guarantee you that's what he drives.
Let's look it up.
I should. I don't have my laptop in here. I would.
What's his name? I'll get him to look it up.
No. Don't do that. So I call my mother, and they said, well, it's going to cancel tonight at midnight. We've done all we can do, and we just wanted to make you aware. So I text my mother and call her. She didn't answer, called me right back. And she, of course, she's just up in arms. She's like, I don't know. I really can't do anything with him, but his kids, I'm going to Facebook message all his kids and let them know what's happening. So days go by, his insurance cancels. So apparently, as of yesterday, somebody somewhere has talked my great uncle into getting auto insurance again, and I doubt it's through us, but it's probably somewhere over around that Florence, Alabama area.
Somebody that insures Lincoln Town cars.
I mean, there's this thing when your parents start getting older, they start reverting back to childhood. Mm-hmm. And I think he's kind of, at 92 years old, you said it best, kind of giving everybody the damn middle finger about, yeah. You know what, I'm about to be dead anyway. Screw y'all and your damn money for your insurance.
There was a meme I saw that said, imagine fighting in World War II, killing 20 people, absolute badass, smokes Marlboros with no filters.
Right.
Only for your first grandchild to call you Peepaw, and that's your name for the rest of your life.
I love that. Well, that was a very interesting situation that I know my extended family on my mother's side, based on what she told me, we're all kind of like, well, what do we do? How do we get him to do this?
Somebody probably bought it for him.
Probably so. Yeah, very interesting.
Or got it all set up and said, hey, give me your... There may be a family member on that bank account if he's 92 years old.
Maybe. I have no idea. Guys, we've got a very special guest today. I want to go ahead and bring him on. I've got a lot of questions for him. I have heard his name kind of batted around in the industry, but he and I have never met before we got on this podcast today. And it's odd meeting each other over Zoom like this, but it does feel like you're sitting in the room with us. So without further ado, he was born and raised in Henry, Virginia, and he currently resides in Rocky Mountain, Virginia. He is married to the beautiful Tara, and they have two beautiful babies, Greg, 28, and Julia, 21. Greg and Julia, let me tell you something about your daddy. You ought to be very proud of your daddy. He's been very successful in the game of life. I'm proud of him, and I know the two of you are old enough today that hopefully you'll jump on here and listen to this podcast. And when you get through listening to it, I know you're going to be very proud of your daddy. And so what I want you to do for Scott is when you get through listening to this, call him, text him, or go by his house and tell him how much you love him, because I know that would mean a lot to me. But he attended Ferrum College, and he's a graduate of the School of Hard Knocks. Brother, you talking to the right man to talk about that. He's been in the industry for quite some time now. He's been a 2-time presenter at Innovation and IOA's very first member. May have been, I'm going to say he was, the youngest scratch agent owner appointed by Erie Insurance at 24 years old. That's quite an accomplishment right there. Went on to work for State Farm sometime around 1997 as an office staff member, and was later hired by State Farm directly. We've got that in common. And chose to start a scratch independent agency on 1/1/2000 rather than go to the State Farm agency route. Good move on your part. He founded Holley Insurance in 2000 in an effort to serve our community by offering a competitive price, superior protection, and excellent service. He is a certified insurance counselor, earning the designation in 2011. Growing his business and building a fantastic team has been very rewarding. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound honor today to introduce to you first-time guest on the IGP, Mr. Steve Holley. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing great, guys. I appreciate y'all having me. This is it's quite an honor just to be here talking to you guys.
Well, I've got so many questions for you. I know Bradley had you on, wanted to have you on to talk about the intranet. That's something Chris Paradiso is very passionate about. If you ever go to one of his masterminds or you talk to Chris for very long, he says, hey, first thing you need to do is go build you an intranet for your team. for your agency, which is basically an internal intranet for your agency. Before we talk about that, though, Steve, me and you got bigger fish to fry. I need you to get in my DeLorean. Now, that's two big old boys in a DeLorean, and go back in time and talk to our audience about how you got into insurance business, and then just kind of bring us up to today.
Well, it's funny. It was kind of by accident. I told you I attended college. I didn't earn my degree from Ferrum, but I'm proud to have attended. And then I got my degree from the School of Hard Knocks. So
there you go.
I was married young. My wife and I starting our family, and decided I needed to start making a living. And had a friend who was insurance agent. He was doing life and health stuff, mostly in the senior market.
It's always how it starts.
Yeah. Then he invited me in on that. I got into it. I liked it. Didn't hardly make any money. When you first start out in that, it's really difficult to make money initially. But I really learned how to work the business and realized that I liked it. Took a couple stepping stones from there. Ended up working for a State Farm agent. As much as I love being an independent agent, I am thankful for that experience with State Farm. It was a really good place to start, really good place to train. You kind of learn the business and that sort of thing from there. And then had the opportunity. State Farm had an agent that had quote unquote retired rather quickly. And they needed somebody that was able to run that office while they put somebody in there. And so they hired me on to do that, offered me the agency path. I still live in the same community that I have my entire life. Love it here. Was glad to be here. My wife and I just recently built a house at the time, and I said, yeah, I'm not moving somewhere else to be a State Farm agent. I've got other opportunities. And
back then they heavily pushed that for you to go somewhere else.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and almost
absolutely.
Start over from scratch. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been 2 years just in training with them before they would then tell me where I was going to go. And, when you're 23, 24 years old, you're kind of blessed that you don't know what you don't know. And so, it was like, well, no, I can do this thing myself. I don't need, State Farm or anybody else to tell me how to do it. And fortunately, looked at several good carriers, started my agency scratch with Erie and Progressive and, 2 or 3 other carriers. And, it was right at Y2K. And I remember they sent me a packet. It was your Y2K, kit for when all of your computers crashed and all that. And here's what you do for your policyholders and whatever. I was like, well, I don't have any, so I don't have to worry about that, but I've got this kit. So it was me, a chair and a desk, and, we started it from there and have been blessed to grow it to where we are now.
And right now, just so all you people out there listening kind of know that he's just like you are, I asked Steve before we got on this podcast, I said, Steve, let's talk about your book mix. And they do a lot of preferred home and auto, a lot of that kind of stuff, what I call Scott Howell clients. Same stuff we do in our agency, and then they do a lot of small, and you jokingly said medium commercial,
which I love.
Commercial risk. So I believe you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that mix is what, 70-30, 80-20 mix?
We're about 75-25. We're heavy personal lines, 75, and about 25 on commercial.
Right. And how many employees you got?
I believe we're at 10 total right now.
That's you're about the same size we are then. So tell me what challenges that you're seeing today, year of our Lord, December 2022, compared to what you saw pre-COVID in 2018 and 19. Like what are we looking at in terms of challenges and opportunities that your agency has right now?
Well, that's the thing. It's funny that they're both the same for us. With the hard market.
Yeah.
If we play it well and we retain our clients and we do well by our clients and all that kind of stuff, we've got the opportunity to really grow, pretty quickly, at a much higher pace than we normally would.
See, I think a hard market benefits an independent agent.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think it hurts the direct writers and the captive companies because if they only have one option and you're going into a hard market and your reinsurers are going up on your rates and that sort of thing.
Choices are a good thing, folks.
The advantage in that case is to the independent agent.
Correct.
And I feel like we need to, as a group, collectively stop fighting over which management system we should use in IEOA or Insurance Soup and worry about how we be there for our clients.
Let me explain something to everybody on this podcast. If all 58,000 of y'all that listen to us every week, if all 58,000 of y'all would just send me $100,
yeah, there you go,
$100
or a dollar.
What is that? Group Fund Me. What is that thing called? Where people that need life insurance, because me, mom, and papa all died and they ain't got no life insurance, and they give that. What's that thing where you can?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The thing where you can raise.
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. That's what it is. Y'all all GoFund me $100, and I'm gonna get Bradley Flowers and our videography team to come up with the greatest commercial that's ever been done, and obviously something none of these PIA and Big I and IOA and none of these other son bitches are going to do. So Scott will just have to do it his damn self. I'm going to come up with a commercial that's just centered around choices are a good thing. Choices, and I'm going to say that 400 times.
And you're going to run it on the Super Bowl?
Choices, I'm going to run it on every social media campaign I can find.
Well, see, 58,000 times 100 would be.
Can you imagine?
That'd be 5.8 million. So you could buy a Super Bowl commercial for that.
Well, all I'm going to do is I'm going to run an ad. We're in a hard market. Your insurance has gone up. Choices are a good thing. Go see your local independent agent. The end.
Exactly what the Big I and Trusted Choice should be doing.
That's exactly what I said. Yeah.
I just say that. So yeah, I mean, I think we could just have you with a cowboy hat on. You know.
Oh God! Now I got to put my cowboy hat on.
Well, I saw you were struggling earlier because the headphones don't work with the. We should invent a cowboy hat that lets you wear studio headphones with it.
Yeah, but if I have the hole right there for them to go down in, I should do that. If this wasn't a step, I'd do that to this hat.
Dude, I'd
take my pocket knife. I'd cut out both sides of that right there, so I could stick my headphones down in there.
You would make it onto Shark Tank. I feel like.
So. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm just telling y'all, choices are a good thing. Steve just said it better than I've heard anybody say it. We're in a hard market. People are paying a lot for insurance right now. They're going to be paying more because if you heard our podcast last week, Scott went ahead and yanked the curtain back for you to tell you what's about to happen in 2023. And so everybody's going to be jostled. Love that word. Everybody's going to be jostled. Everybody's going to be shopping, not just your clients, but everybody else's as well. Steve, here's what the question I had for you that I find wildly interesting. Have you had any local independent agents around your area of, let's say, 60 miles that have sold during this huge mergers and acquisitions phase that we've been in that you feel like will be a spot where you could pick up a bunch of business too, because now either they're not there anymore or it's changed hands and it's just not what it used to be?
Man, you are right on time with that question. We have one. We have 3 locations. One of our locations about a mile away is another independent agent.
Tell me more.
Sold to one of these outfits.
Yep.
Our lead carrier is Erie Insurance, and Erie does not play in that realm, so they did not go along with the deal. And I personally like that agent. I don't want to see anything bad. I hope it works well for him and all that kind of stuff. But some of these people are just loyal to that carrier,
right? And
our phone's ringing off the hook. With some of those folks, wanting to come to us and all of that kind of stuff. So yes, I mean that exact thing is happening this week and today in my office.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Is Erie, do they have the capacity since old boy decided to sell? Can they just load up those files and send them over to your agency? Since you're a mile away?
Yeah, he owns his book. So, we wouldn't, I'm sure they wouldn't share any of that kind of stuff. I'm almost positive our contract restricts them from being able to do that. But sort of naturally, somebody that's been with whatever carrier, it is, if they've been with them for 10, 15 years, maybe they've had positive experience and that sort of thing. They want that choice as well. And, it's not one that when you talk about these big deals, they won't go with it.
What do they do in that case? What happens is does he sell everything but the Erie book, and then he has to still run? Like, how does that? Or do they pull the contract?
He has to do a book roll. Yeah, they pull the contract, and then you have to book roll those
to another Erie agent.
Well, no, to another. He would want to preserve it with one of his other carriers.
Oh, gotcha.
Which, quite honestly, we talking about these opportunities. A lot of times with a book roll, carriers will give you extra, commission dollars and that sort of thing for doing it. So it's also an opportunity for him in this case because he might be able to make more commission dollars rolling it somewhere else.
But it makes more sense to me, and I think it's going to make more sense to Bradley for that agent to just carve out that Erie book and then come to you and say, hey, look, a lot of these people have been with Erie for a long time. I don't want to upset the apple cart. This agent, whoever they sold to, is going to buy the rest of this. Would you like, here on a silver platter, would you like to buy this Erie book for X, whatever it is? And I know you've got the Erie. Does that not make more sense?
It would to me if I were the firm buying that book. That's where
the problem comes in.
That's really on them. If he's the one exiting, which I think he's still staying with the business, so it may not be the case. But particularly in a spot, let's take that one out of play. But one that somebody's exiting, it's on the firm that's acquiring them to kind of look at that thing. And it's not a secret that certain carriers don't go along with these deals. It's not everybody will appoint just any purchasing entity. So, it's kind of on them to make sure they've done their homework, and they probably have, and they might have figured, hey, we can roll this to, somebody else and get a higher commission percentage. And even if we lose a certain percentage of the book, we're okay with that.
Well, and where you run into a problem with that is with the purchasing firm and also with you. So, and you may not run into it with Erie because I bet you Erie's a carrier that if you have one policy with Erie, you have everything with Erie. But I ran into this. There was an agency I was talking to that half of their business was with an aggregator that does not play nice, and I think is the opposite of trying to benefit the independent agent. If you want to know who it is, just call me. And half of their business was direct. Mm-hmm. And I tried to buy the whole business, didn't work out. And so I said, okay, well, I just want your Progressive book and I can't remember what the other carrier. There was two books I wanted. One was Progressive, and they said, "Well, that's fine." But then what?
The Progressive said this?
No, the agent. What we ended up finding out is a lot of those customers cross-pollinated. They may have a Progressive auto, but a home with Openly, and that was you see what I'm saying? So you run into it, and then also I can't guarantee that if I buy the Progressive book and then a PE firm buys the rest of it, I can't guarantee that they don't have the contact information for the book I just bought. You know what I'm saying? So that's where when you carve out books like that, it gets kind of tricky. Now, it's easier in areas like Ohio and Kentucky where everybody bundles, but like where I'm at down here on the coast, man, I mean, if I have a customer that has 3 policies with me, it's 3 different carriers.
Right.
And you get into a lot of cross-pollinating there.
Well, hello there. Excuse me for interrupting your regularly scheduled podcast, but I'm here today to get you out of aggregator and cluster jail. This may be the most important message I've ever delivered on the Insurance Guys podcast. Guys, are you a member of a cluster or an aggregator? Does your contract have exit fees, termination payments, buyback provisions? It's time to get your freedom back and do what we did here at I Protect Insurance. Join the AC, the future of aggregators and clusters in our industry. Best decision we've ever made, guys. Best decision we've ever made. No entry fees, small $200 a month membership fee, over 50 plus carriers for direct appointments. And by the way, adding new ones coming on board with them each and every month. You keep 100% of your commissions and profit sharing every year. Guys, each of the last 2 years, we have made in our agency over $100,000 in profit sharing. And wait, here's the best part. This is the part I'm probably the most passionate about. no termination or exit fees. You give the AC 60 days notice and you're free. You get direct appointments wherever you want. There's no buyback provisions, no exit clauses. Guys, if you're a member of another aggregator and you have termination fees, buyback provisions, exit clauses, every single policy you write, you're digging that hole just a little bit deeper. And one day you're not going to be able to get out of it. It's going to be too much. You're going to be taking out a second mortgage on your home just to try to get out of an aggregator or cluster group. Unbelievable. Go to acfree.org. That's acfree.org and register. Find out why over 850 agencies and $3 billion in premium have chosen the AC. But wait, guys, there's more. Heck, this may be the best part. Mention the Insurance Guys podcast when you talk to these guys, and you get 6 months. That's 6 months of no membership fee just by mentioning the Insurance Guys podcast.
And here's a piece of advice, I think, and I would love to get both of you guys' thoughts on this, but I think when you do a merger acquisition, when you buy someone,
Right.
or when you sell to someone,
I wouldn't know what any of this is like, but go ahead.
the worst thing that you can do is send a letter out to all the customers and say, hey, we just sold, or hey, we just bought this company.
Right.
Because what that
Jostles.
it jostles them. It raises it. Whereas if they think business as usual, it gives you breathe. I mean, I'm not saying you should deceive anyone. Eventually, they should find out that the agency they're with was purchased.
Sure.
But I think it jostles people and prompts them to shop.
Mm-hmm.
When if you just slowly, silently took over, it prevents any of that from happening. It's business as usual. I had a buddy who was a CPA that bought another CPA firm. And he said the people that were the customers for the firm that he bought did not know that I bought them until they walked in the room to sit down to do their taxes with me. That's when they found out. So they were too far committed.
Right.
You know what I mean? What are y'all's thoughts on that?
I have just hired and given over a $400,000 book of business to a new agent in my office, personal lines. And I gave her the same message I give to all of my agents. She's been doing it for only 16 years, so if she does it 2 more years, she might know what she's doing. But she's going to be our personal lines agency manager for our Huntsville office. So there's just tremendous opportunity there. And I said, listen, this is your show. You can do it any way you want to do it. I'm not going to run your business, okay? Mm-hmm. But if I were you and I just handed you on a silver platter a $400,000 book of business, which I know is not much, but it's a start, right? I would pick up the phone and I would call these people with some little word track that said something to the effect of great news and better news. Great news is your previous agent's still with iProtect, so you can talk to him anytime you want to. Better news, I'm now your agent. And I just want to call and let you know that. No, I'm not calling about rate or talk to you. I just want to introduce myself. And
I think there's situations that it's called for.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I bought a book of business. I bought so here in Alabama, farmers agents can get direct appointments.
Right.
I bought the independent book of a farmer's agent a few years ago. Well, I knew that farmers was going to be reaching out to some of those people just like I was going to be reaching out to them. So in that case, we sent I think there's situations. Mm-hmm.
But to your point, I specifically told her and Justin Miller in my office, I said, don't send out any bullshit letters or any of that bullshit. If you're going to do this, do it the right way. Pick 5 or 6 customers, 10 customers a week. Mm-hmm. Call them, love them up, get to know them, build a relationship with them over the phone. Mm-hmm. But don't be sending out some mass letter that Danielle. It was Justin Miller.
Okay, the way I would position is say, hey, I'm Sonny, and I work alongside Justin here at iProtect.
Right.
And then immediately get to it, and they might assume that that's Justin's assistant or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then over time,
we've done
slowly.
I was going to say we've done it a couple of times because we bought a couple of books of business, and one of the things I bought one in Roanoke, Virginia, which is sort of that's when you go to the city, that's Roanoke around here. And the agency had Roanoke in the name and all that. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna keep that identity. We're going to keep running that and doing it that way. And I think people, slowly knew that, the same owner was not the owner now and that sort of thing. But it was a terrible headache trying to keep up. You've got to then double everything that you're keeping up with, all of your marketing, all of your online presence, all of your, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, we ended up doing basically, we went through Agency Performance Partners and did a brand guide and, all that kind of stuff, and ended up merging everything together. So then a few years later, I bought another book of business. And in that case, we did everything we could to just go ahead and do it up front and do it while the former owner was still with us, to let everybody know, look, this person has blessed them, because, people don't, or has blessed the deal, because people don't know what we do. Sometimes when they see somebody has moved out, they think something scandalous has happened,
or their rate's going to go up.
Yeah, or something bad has happened. So I want that other owner. And I think it's one of the things that the private equity people do better than us, is that, they're retaining a lot of these agency owners and keeping them, keep doing something to keep them satisfied and keep them in the game. But I think it's important that the clientele know, no, this is a good thing for me. It's also going to be a good thing for you. Pictures of new people with the old people mixing together, all that kind of stuff, I think is just a better, at least that's how we've done it. It was better for us doing it that way. But, it's just like everything else in this business. There's so many different ways to do it and do it well. So it's
Steve,
whichever way is best for you.
Of those two ways you just described, if I heard you correctly, the second way, where y'all went ahead and ripped the Band-Aid off, so to speak, seems like it must have worked a little better than the first way.
It did for us, because you're going to have a certain amount of retention loss. You've got a handful of people that are, and, we reached out to all the key accounts first, the larger accounts, those kinds of things. And we had already met with them before we started doing all of this. And I think they appreciated that. What you said with that $400,000 book of business is exactly right. If you can call them, one-on-one and talk to each one, but now take that to a $4 million book, that's a different deal. So it's a
different story.
It's kind of hard to be able to do that.
Well, I guess my next question for you is, and this is something, are we doing a podcast together tomorrow, just me and you?
I don't know.
Because I got something I really want to get off my heart and talk about.
We definitely aren't then.
Okay.
I don't remember. I'll have to look.
What, Steve? I got to know something, and then we're gonna get to what Bradley want to talk about today, because it is important. But it's on my heart right now, and I hope people can hear my heart. Have you started agency planning yet for 2023 relative to agency planning as a the agency itself, goals and those types of things, and then breaking that down related to goals and planning for each producer and account manager for the 2023 year? Because the reason I ask is I know after Thanksgiving is when a lot of people kind of get in that mode.
Yeah, we've done it. I actually had a day last week with our managing director, with the agency. She's sort of our ops person, Alice, and we spent an entire day last week. We did, SWOT analysis. We did, every other type of thing that you could think of. Look where we started, where we ended up the year,
Right.
Goals for next year, all that kind of stuff. We intend to do a rollout for a launch day with our team, with different things that we're going to do and all that. So yeah, we're hot and heavy right in the middle of it right now.
You've got 3 separate agency offices, all 3, I'm going to assume, are they all 3 in small communities, or you said one was in Roanoke, which is more of a city.
Right.
Do you break down the marketing budget and planning on a per agency location level? And the reason I ask this is I live in Pine Ridge, Alabama, with a bunch of crackheads and crystal meth addicts, right? And Bruce Payne, one of my favorite people in the world, has one of our agencies in Priceville, Alabama, which was 30 minutes away, and it's a very small community.
8 people in that town.
Yeah, there's nobody.
Right.
That's a whole different marketing plan in Huntsville, Alabama,
Where there's literal rocket scientists.
every like can't throw a dead cat without hitting a rocket scientist, right? Do you do that? Do you break down on on a per agency level?
Not really. Like we will on like specific campaigns. So if I've got one producer in an area that, really wants to, push for this or that, or I've got a fellow that we just hired to be a producer who also happens to own a wedding venue. So,
That's
he
a
wants to
great
get into some
opportunity
of
there.
some wedding niche stuff and all that. So he and I will talk about, all right, are there any events that you want to, set up at? What kind of marketing budget for that sort of thing? But we don't just, we don't really break it down and say this location gets this much money, that one gets that much, and that one gets that much.
You know what you're really good at? You know how people say that
You talking to him or me?
you
Oh, me.
the Nick Saban has the Nick Saban coaching rehabilitation program.
Right.
When these other coaches aren't doing great at other schools, they go to work for Nick Saban.
Right.
You're kind of doing that with principal agents. You have the principal agent
Rehabilitation program.
What are you doing there?
In terms of
How you getting them? What's the pitch? What's the
Oh no, it's just
because you've got how many former
Fi-
principal
five,
agents that work for you?
Five.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of ego. I was telling Bradley before we got on this podcast, the problem with having that many principal agents who all five could go out and start their own thing tomorrow and would probably be successful is there's a lot of ego there.
Right.
There's a lot of, I've been doing this a long time, Scott. I don't really need you telling me what to do. There's a lot of that. There's feelings. Some people are.
Do you struggle dealing with that?
I do.
I know I would.
I do. I struggle with it from the standpoint of I'm just trying to help you, and I'm getting the vibe of you're A, not appreciative of that, and B, you're taking offense to that. Like Scott's trying, he's getting on my ass. Well, I promise you I'm not getting on your ass. I'm just telling you, if you're going to be successful and you want to be more successful than you already are, because that's the other part of this is a lot of them are successful and they do write a lot of insurance. And it's this balancing act of me coming to them hat in hand. And sometimes I am such a bull in a china shop. Jess Miller got mad at me the other day. Had to apologize to her because I sent something out. Now there were only 3 or 4 people on this email, but it was, hey, this is what I'm seeing. I think we could maybe do a little bit more training in this area. Well, she got upset that I didn't send that just to her. That her words, not mine. I felt like it was disrespectful to call me out in front of other team members like that, even though one of them was her husband, and 2 of them, the other 2 probably didn't care. But that's an area where I probably need to improve is making sure if I'm going to go to them, even with, hey, let's try it this way or let's do it this way or why aren't we doing it that way, doing it in more of a one-on-one type setting rather than – that's one thing they don't like is when you call them out in front of a bunch of people like at a staff meeting.
That. Yeah.
So I need to do a better job of that. But I would say no, just the way things shook out, we got what we got, and they all do a great job for us. But there is not one person I have ever interviewed on this podcast, Bradley Flowers, that can improve and get better.
Yeah.
David Carruthers has got areas he could improve on and get better. Chris Paradiso's got areas he can improve. And the other thing I tell people all the time is I know when you meet all these big thought leaders and everything, nobody in the insurance industry knows everything.
Well, that was the value add. That was the thing we kept hearing over and over from agents when we started the show was you guys don't act like you know everything, and I like that.
I prove that on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Steve, I'm going to ask you this question. I know we don't have a lot of time on this podcast. What area of I've got 2 questions for you. What area of the P&C world, home and auto insurance, which is kind of your focus there, what are y'all the best at? What do you feel like y'all do a really good job at?
Yeah, I think one of the things that really I think it's down to defining who our client is. I think that's one of the differences between us and, the standard. We are a lot of people don't want to be, called a generalist agency or whatever, but that's pretty much what we are. We're your bread and butter guy, but we know who our people are. Our people are generally preferred market insurance. We get to know sort of what's important to them. The community around here is usually important to them. So we try to support, those sorts of things and be available when we're there. And when somebody tells us that they're not one of our people, we believe them. And we still try to help them, but we'll help them find, the agent down the street.
Absolutely.
It has helped kind of streamline our service, to where, we're not doing some of the things that, typical, for instance, we don't take payments in our office. Well, our typical clientele, that's not that important to. They want us to be there when they have a claim. They want to be able to talk to us. They want to know that we're reviewing their policies every year, that sort of thing. So I think really defining our client and who we work best for, and not feeling like we are, Geico or somebody that wants to insure everybody, walking down the street.
What role does, and you're a big proponent of the agency intranet, right?
Yes. Yes.
What you and I first met, you actually helped me start mine, which we still use this day. We call it Portal Playbook. It's still on Google Sites.
Right.
There you go. You're the first person that showed me that. And you think agency intranet, you think expensive. Well, if you're on G Suite, Google Sites is free.
Right.
We actually have a Slack channel that's called Playbook Improvements. I saw it ping on my phone a second ago. When somebody thinks of something we could either improve in there or add to it, they post in that channel. What role does your intranet play in finding your target client, as well as just the agency in general?
Well, probably the easiest thing is to just, be able to say, your sales process is in there, your marketing processes are in there. So when we're going out looking for a commercial account, and of course there's, dozens of ways that you run into them, but we at least do have a path for you to start on. And, when things go this way and that, and it kind of makes sure that that's, who we're going after for commercial. And then our sales process for, how we do the personal line stuff is already in there too. But I mean, we've got a spot in there called Holleyisms now, where, it's just sayings that you'll hear around the office and things, that we say that people hear. And just like I told you, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. That's in there, and the Holleyisms and, different things like that everybody can see. It's not hidden. We want everybody that's with us to know exactly who we are.
Here's what I can't figure out. And I know people are going to think I'm an idiot because I can't figure this out. When you open up a new tab in Google Chrome, it takes you to Google. I want it to go to the Portal Playbook. How do I do that?
Oh,
do y'all do that in your agency?
We don't, but I do like that. That's really a great question.
Big companies that have their own intranet, that's usually what happens. You go to the internet and it takes you to that page, and then you have to navigate to Google from there. If you guys are listening to this and y'all know how to do that, reach out to me. I use Google Chrome on Mac.
Come on now. Steve, thank you so much for being here today. We're up against a hard stop here, but I just want you to know something. More important, I want your kids to know something. I don't know how proud they are of you, but I can tell you I'm proud of you and what you've built over there. I know what you've done. That. And I know how much hard work has been involved in it.
Well, that's true, but I'll tell you what, more proud of my kids than I am even of that. So, I appreciate the thought.
You know what I tell people all the time? If it was easy, everybody'd do it, right?
Yep. That's exactly right.
Guys, you were listening to the Insurance Guys podcast, and as I end every episode, go buy tickets to the One City World Tour. My wife's pregnant with twins. Bradley building a new house.
Wait, what?
Steve.
Is your wife really pregnant with twins?
Steve's got 3 or 4 things he needs to go buy for his office. Y'all go buy and help us out. Go buy some tickets.
I've already got my tickets too. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Awesome. That'll be a couple weeks away by the time this airs. So if you're going to buy them, you need to buy them now.
Can I give y'all some inside baseball real quick? Secret time. I'm working up this plan because I think I get a 1-hour presentation while I'm there called Reverse Engineering the Jostled Client. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw up on the board the 5 or 6 reasons people leave your agency. But that's not what this is about. What this is about is reverse engineering those 5 or 6 things to teach agents that are there, here's how we're going to stop that. Because we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's about 5 or 6 different times somebody leaves your agency. And it's very easy to write that part of it down. The hard part is, what are we going to do to stop that? Mm-hmm. If y'all want to hear that, come to the One City World Tour. I'd love to have a adult beverage with you and go to dinner and us fellowship. I'm going to do a much better job this year. I am going to, God willing and the creek don't rise, I swear to God, Bradley, hold me to this, accountability. I'm going to meet and I'm going to talk and I'm going to spend time with every single person there, and we're going to get to know each other on a one-on-one. I swear to God, I'm going to do that. If I have to stay there 5 freaking days afterwards, I'm going to do it. So,
There you go. All right.
Steve, thank you, brother. Rewards
guys.
come from action, guys. Go out today, make money for your family, for your wife, for your husband, for your kids' college fund, for your parents that are struggling. Go make money for them. Figure out what your why is and do what Steve's done and create a great agency out there. Write good business for the agencies that you represent and write good business for the companies that you represent. Bradley Flowers, I love you.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, Steve.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate you. Guys, you were listening to the Insurance Guys podcast, and we love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being a part of our family, and we'll see you back here real soon. Take care.